Good evening and welcome to NewsLink Indiana. I'm Miranda Gore.
And I'm Daniel Young.
In October, 40 homes were contracted to come down in your neighborhoods. 5 of those homes are within 3 blocks of each other on Kirby Avenue. Sarah Finney explains why the area was targeted and introduces us to one man who lives on Kirby Avenue his entire life.
While Paul Vance carves a walking stick, something much bigger is whittling away at his neighborhood. Vance says he and his family have lived on Kirby Avenue as long as he can remember.
My dad, my mom used to live right there. I used to live there. My sister used to live there. My cousin lived there. My aunt lived over there. My aunt lived right there. My aunt's still living over there.
And through the years, he's seen a lot.
A lot of crap. A lot of changes. A whole lot of changes, just like this.
This is Vance's new view when he sits on his porch, an empty lot where 2 homes used to sit. But lots like this are becoming much more common on Kirby Avenue, and it's no accident. Gretchen Cheeseman's job is to keep track of unsafe buildings in Muncie. She says the city focuses on places like Vance's neighborhood because it's a main thoroughfare.
It has more of an impact on the city or the appearance of the neighborhood.
Cheeseman says the city gets more bang for its buck when it concentrates on one area at a time. Just a block away from Vance, you can see what she's talking about. And another block down, you'll see another condemned home. Cheeseman says some neighbors are happy about it.
Positive to most people and negative to some.
Stupid. That's what I think. This is like a desert.
A desert where the most frequent sounds are either destruction or silence. In Muncie, Sarah Finney, NewsLink, Indiana.
Thanks for that, Sarah. Over the last couple decades, Muncie has transformed as a city known for one thing into a city that is connected worldwide. Nicole Griffin has more.
That's right. Thanks, Daniel. Muncie is known as Middletown, named by Robert S. and Helen Merrill Lynn, who studied the once industrial city in the 1920s. Muncie was established as a community that possessed social trends similar to many other cities in the United States.
90 years later, Muncie is a different place than when the Lynns once studied the city in the 1920s. However, the research has continued with a program called Middletown Studies at Ball State.
Well, the Center for Middletown Studies is devoted to capitalizing on the research that's been done on Muncie as Middletown.
Muncie, Indiana was once known as a thriving industrial city, but many years later, now that factories have closed, some still remain abandoned, like the one behind me, the Borg-Warner factory. Now that times have changed, positive and negative impacts have came out of the situation, but Muncie is now known for something new, a university and a hospital.
The basis for its prosperity has shifted. It's become a city that's in many ways increasingly well connected to the rest of the world through the networks that doctors have at the hospital, networks that professors have through the university, and so forth.
The negative aspect of the change Muncie has seen has drastically affected those who planned on working in the factories for a living.
The long-term shift from manufacturing to medical and educational operations has left a lot of people who were ready to do factory work but aren't ready to teach college classes or do medical work without jobs, without work, and the city's lost some population for that reason.
Muncie continues to struggle with its unemployment rate. It is currently at 9.9%. With businesses and taxpayers leaving the city, not only does it affect the amount of jobs, but there's less money to pave roads, light lamps, and do things a city needs to do. For NewsLink Indiana, I'm Nicole Griffin.
Thank you, Nicole. Across the nation, it's all about the green. Energy, that is. But with the new renewable energy resources becoming more available, what's happening to the old energy plants? Chris Wrinkle has more.
Every day, a truck pulls up to the heat plant and drops off pounds and pounds of Indiana coal. The Black Rock has powered Ball State since 1919, when the Ball brothers built part of the same building that stands today. Through strict guidelines, these 7 boilers have supplied steam and power to the university and Ball Memorial Hospital for 93 years.
Normally, a boiler is considered to have 30-35 years service life, and we've got double that.
These 2 boilers are from the early mid-50s. Ones further down were installed in the 40s. lot of older technology.
And it's held up real well, but it's really reaching the end of its life cycle.
Across the parking lot, drilling has begun for the south field of the geothermal project. With each new hole bored into the ground, it means the end of the plant that has seen so much history.
That will satisfy most of the plant, most of the university's needs most of the time. Now, in the depths of the winter, we will still have to run the heat plant. We'll always have to run the steam plant to provide steam for Ball Hospital.
But the geothermal project isn't the only threat. With every BTU burned, trace amounts of mercury are shoveled into the atmosphere.
Strictures that are coming into place, we'll probably be unable to burn coal after March of 2014. New standards are so strict that without adding $35 million worth of emission control equipment on 70-year-old boilers, we couldn't begin to meet that.
So when the inevitable day arrives and the boilers burn their last amount of coal, it'll be the end of a bygone age.
When I was a little kid, my father took me to Deepwater Terminal in Richmond, Virginia, and they were loading the last of the steam locomotives on ships to haul off for scrap. And he said, look quick, there goes 125 years of history.
In Muncie, Chris Rankel, NewsLink, Indiana.
Thanks, Chris. Now, as you may know, Ball State has a new course registration system that will start for the fall 2012 semester. The new system is similar to the current process, but registration will be real-time and on demand. This means that there is no longer a course request waiting period. When students register for a class, the registration will take place immediately. A time ticket will be given to students telling them the exact time they can sign up. There is also a waiting list for full classes. Students will receive an email telling them if there is an open seat in the class. The same priority student registration will be used. New rules that could subject more Indiana schools to state takeover are on hold. State legislators are reviewing the proposal. The proposal would require schools receiving Fs in 4 consecutive years to face takeover. Schools that receive any combination of Ds and Fs for 5 straight years, and currently only schools receiving Fs for 6 consecutive years, would face takeover. Well, Randa, we had a week of summer-like weather last week and a weekend of it too, and you know, Ball State students and Muncie residents alike woke up this morning to 50-degree temperatures.
I know I was not a fan of those 50-degree temps at all. I feel like Mother Nature is just teasing us right now, giving us this nice warm summer weather and then bringing us back to our average. Let's go on over to the weather wall with Brad Mousehart.
Yeah, guys, she is kind of teasing us, isn't she? I had to pull back out the hoodies this afternoon just to see, though, you know, really just to be comfortable outside. It's really chilly out there. Right now, 47 degrees, winds are out of the east at 16, so that's really making it feel almost like back down into the 30s, almost 40 degrees less than where we were last weekend. So that's absolutely incredible. As you look at the pressure, that's also going to be rising over the next several days. So you can see we're really right where we should be this time of the year for the average-wise. Records are at 75. That's about where we were last week, so really can't complain. On full weather coming up, I'll have things including your next chance of rain as well as a freeze warning coming in next morning. Right now, back to Randa at the desk.
Thanks, Brad. Today's the first day of Ball State's annual Women's Week. The week-long event is held to celebrate the achievements and experiences of women. The event's first message this year is to improve awareness to college students about safe sex. We go live to Demetrius Lewis. Demetrius?
Today marks the first day of Ball State's annual Women's Week, which takes place during the last week of March, known as National Women's History Month. I'm here from the Ball State's Health Center, where the main message today was to help students protect their health.
The Women's and Gender Studies program at Ball State held a seminar this afternoon. The purpose? To raise awareness about HPV, or human papillomavirus, that many students don't know.
It is the most common sexually transmitted infection in the world.
Kelly McGinley is the Director of Corporate Development for the Persons Forbes E Foundation, and she says that she likes the way that Women's Week is kicked off.
I think just because it's the HPV virus is so rampant and not many people know about it, and since it's affecting so many college-age students, I think it's a great way to start off letting people know the importance of the virus.
There are more than 100 different strains of HPV. Most show no signs. Those between the ages of 19 and 29 are highly encouraged to get checked out and receive HPV vaccinations. Dr. Jennifer Bunch says risks can be higher for women, with HPV being linked to life-threatening cancers.
In talking about cervical cancer, it's important to recognize that the #1 risk factor for developing cervical cancer is HPV, or human papilloma virus.
Dr. Bunch also says that HPV is the most widespread infection on college campuses.
Up to 90% of college-age students are infected with HPV.
The risks for contracting HPV are just as high for women as it is for men, as each day about 12,000 people ages 15 to 24 are infected.
Now, there are some ways that help prevent the spread of HPV. Very simple ways. First things first, always wear a condom when you're engaging in intercourse. Second thing, keep the number of partners that you have sex with to a limited number to help keep the spread down. Reporting in Muncie, I'm Demetrius Lewis, NewsLink, Indiana.
Thanks, Demetrius. That's very good to know. Now, you can buy a hybrid or an electric car to avoid the pain at the pump as gas prices continue to rise. But coming up, we'll tell you how it still might be hard to avoid wasting fuel.
And President Obama's contentious health care bill hit the Supreme Court floor today, but the bigger battle might have been happening outside courtroom walls. Stay tuned. Hundreds of people are rallying in downtown Indianapolis to call for justice in the shooting death of unarmed teenager Trayvon Martin in Florida.
Police estimate about 2,000 people marched around Indy during the afternoon rush hour, backing up traffic for blocks.
Other cities across the country have also held protests. Supporters wore hoodies, a reference to what Martin was wearing the day he was killed. The unarmed Florida teenager was shot a month ago today by a Neighborhood Watch volunteer. George Zimmerman says he was acting in self-defense. The new Black Panther Party has offered a $10,000 reward for Zimmerman's capture.
Protesters for and against Obama's Health Care Act marched downtown the Supreme Court building as the hearing started. Obama signed the law in March 2010, but opponents are asking the law to be repealed. The main part of this law requires everyone to buy medical coverage by 2012 or face a fine. Right now, people with existing medical conditions are covered, and most people under the age of 26 are covered under their parents' plan. The Supreme Court is hearing arguments today that challenge the constitutionality of the law.
According to a new report from the Treasury Department, congested roads are costing drivers $100 billion a year in wasted fuel and lost time. The report says poor conditions of roads cost the average motorist about $400 annually for vehicle maintenance. Also in the report, the Department of Transportation says it would need at least $85 billion over the next 20 years to bring existing highways and bridges into a good state of repair.
I'm Dea Hernandez, and it's time for a look at tomorrow's headlines from our partners at the Ball State Daily News. AT&T is bringing the 4G LTE service to Muncie. What's different about this network from any other network is that it has the midway between 3G and 4G. The Postal Service facility here is closing in about a month. After it closes, all postal services will go through Indianapolis. After almost having to close, the London Center will still be open in the fall. The only problem is that they don't have enough people signed up for the program. All that and more coming up in tomorrow's Ball State Daily News on newsstands across campus or online 24 hours a day at bsudailynews.com. I'm Dea Hernandez. Back to you guys at the desk.
And the green flag waved on a new IndyCar season. We take you to the first race of the year later on in sports.
Good evening and welcome to NewsLink Indiana Sports. I'm Brad Huber. The 2012 IZOD IndyCar Series season kicked off yesterday. Sunday was the first race since October 16th when Dan Weldon was killed at a crash at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. St. Petersburg was Weldon's adopted hometown. Dan's sister Holly was on hand to wave the green flag. As they dove into turn number one, it was Will Power and Ryan Briscoe going side by side. Only one crash in this race as James Jakes hit the wall of the tire barriers in turn number 5. And then the pass that ended up being the pass for the win, Elio Castroneves on the outside of Scott Dixon. And he went on to win the race out at St. Petersburg. But after the race is when the emotions started to flow as Elio Castroneves went on to pay tribute to his late friend by tapping on the Dan Weldon Way sign and being visibly emotional after picking up his first win in over a year. The rest of the top 5 were Scott Dixon, Ryan Hunter-Ray, rookie James Hinchcliffe, and Ryan Briscoe. On to our feature tonight. Have you been walking somewhere on campus at night and have seen students in electric wheelchairs riding? Do not be baffled, because they are just heading to Irving Gym to practice for a club that was started about 5 years ago. NewsLink's Drew Bogues has the story.
Ever wonder if a handy-capable person can play a sport? Well, Ball State University has a team just for electric chair users. It is called the Ball State Power Soccer Club. The team plays a version of regular soccer with a few rule changes. Dustin Gilmer, president of the Power Soccer Club and junior, will explain.
We play on a regulation-sized basketball court, whereas real soccer is played on a soccer field. Another big difference is the number of players that are on the court. We play with 4 players on the court per team.
Colin McIntyre, a freshman, is one of the newest members of the team, but is not new to the sport because of his previous background.
I started playing my freshman year of high school. As a kid, I used to walk and I used to play some sports, but I never really played like organized sports. I was never able to, and I love sports and I wanted to find something I could do, but it didn't seem like there was really anything.
Phil Keck is a graduate student here at Ball State and started coaching the team in the fall of 2010.
Just volunteering with the team. I was working at the counseling center at the time, and I was doing the work to satisfy some of my credits over there, but also as a volunteer opportunity on campus here.
Phil feels that there is something special about this team that Ball State just needs to know.
This is a really fun and interesting kind of game to watch, and if you've never seen it before or you don't know anything about it, it's just really cool and a lot of fun. And these players they're very dedicated to their craft.
For NewsLink Indiana Sports, I'm Drew Bogues.
The club plays their next game on April 14th at Ball State. For more information, you can look up Ball State Power Soccer on Facebook. Also, a couple notes, guys. Butler basketball coach Brad Stevens will be staying at Butler after rumors surfaced that he had been interested in the Illinois head coaching job to replace Bruce Weber. Also, the Pacers and the Heat in the big game tonight at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, 4.5 minutes to go. The Pacers looking good, up 12 over the Miami Heat, trying to get the first win of the season over the Heat after losing 2 earlier in the season.
Well, there you go, Brad. Some good Pacer news. A great day of racing with Helio Castroneves. That was a great tribute there, I think.
Yes, it was. Very emotional, too. A late friend lost at the last race of 2011.
Yes, it was. Thousands took to the streets in Muncie's downtown Saturday night to celebrate Muncie Gras.
We'll take a look into those events next in entertainment.
Welcome back. I'm Brandon Loesch with your NewsLink Entertainment. I have to congratulate everyone tuning in tonight. That means you survived a weekend of Muncie Gras. That's right. Muncie hosted its 11th annual Mardi Gras themed party in downtown Muncie on Saturday. As people crowded together on Walnut Street, this year's Muncie Gras was the biggest that Muncie has ever seen. Many of this year's attractions were the human bowling, a go-go cage, bungee jumping, a mechanical bull, individual outdoor entertainment, and also outdoor performances. In addition to all these festivities, tents of food, drink, and party merchandise were lined alongside of the street. The beautiful weather was given credit for the great turnout. Cleanup crews hit the streets finally Sunday morning, and downtown Muncie was back to normal by noon. Mobile application design is finding its way into museums such as the Smithsonian, the American Museum of Natural History, and the Indianapolis Museum of Art. This emerging field provides the opportunity for visitors to explore museums in new ways, engaging with works on display and with other visitors through the use of mobile devices. The Ball State Museum invites you to attend a presentation of the mobile web projects designed by students in the Visual Communication Technologies class for the David Owsley Museum of Art. Anyone interested is welcome to stop by the showcase tomorrow from 6:45 to 8 p.m. They'll present the work to welcome one-on-one feedback with your interaction with the application. That's going to do it for your entertainment. I'm Brandon Loesch.
guys. Well, the weather really up and down, hasn't it been? I mean, last week we were in the 80s, now we're back to the 50s. I had to pull back the hoodies that I put away last week. So,
Right.
I mean, really, I mean, just check a look at this 7-day forecast. We have rain up and down, temperatures. I mean, it's going to be a wild week, to say the least.
It will, and that is all we have for NewsLink Indiana tonight. Be sure to watch again tomorrow night right here at 9 p.m.
In the meantime, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Have a good night, Muncie.
Okay, we've been out for, yeah, we're on.